I decided that I was going to rank my top 10 countdown of my favorite movies of all time. Now, keep in mind that this is my opinion of the movies. It has nothing to do with critical success or how good the movie is. I really love this because what it is, the story is about two brothers that move with their mother, and they go living with their grandfather in Santa Carlo, and the place is run by vampires. There's a group of vampires, which is led by Kiefer Sutherland, very awesome actor. I love that guy. And the two brothers, they pretty much are the best of friends until the oldest one gets dragged into the vampire group. And I'm not going to go too far into detail so that you guys don't hate me for spoiling it for you, but it is a really awesome movie. Like I said, 1987, the year I was born. There's a lot of movies that I love that were from that year. Now, Pacific Rim is a movie that came out last year, and I'm a huge anime guy. I love giant robots, and this movie delivered. We have giant robots, we have giant monsters, massive battles and dark neon lights. It was just a perfect collaboration between live action and pretty much like an animated film, even though it's not animated, it is live action. But I love anything with giant robots. And this film takes place. There is creatures called the kaiju who attack, and they attack different places around the world. And the way that humanity has decided that they were going to protect themselves was to build giant robots called Jaegers. Now, this takes two pilots that control the Jaegers, half of the brain and left side of the brain. And it's a cool concept that it was never done before, even though there is Gundam and all that, but this is a completely different collaboration. It's done by Del Toro, and he is awesome. Rapid Fire is one of those action movies from the 90s that is just so action-packed and just over the top. It is so awesome. Brandon Lee plays an art student who gets caught up in the Chinese triad operations, where he sees a mob boss killing a triad and becomes the eyewitness that needs to be protected. But he does get involved with with two police officers. One's a girl, and the other one becomes his best friend in the film. The stunts that Brandon Lee does, his fighting style, the way he shoots guns, is just so amazing. I don't think there is another action star who does gunplay like Brandon Lee did. And I was lucky enough last year when I went to Niagara Falls Comic Con to get the autograph of Christy Swanson and a photo with her, which is right here. I'm so happy to meet her. She was the one girl that I had such a huge crush on when I was in my teens. She's still a very attractive girl now, but when she was in her teens, she was just flawless. And this movie is action-packed. It's funny. It has a very strong romance to it. I'm a big guy with romance. I love romance for some reason. I actually prefer a lot of romance in my movies. I guess I'm just a hopeless romantic. But I really, really love this film. I've seen it so many times since its release. 1992 was its release. And I just love it because Buffy is one of those characters where she's an everyday girl, cheerleader, who just gets caught up and becomes the Slayer. And her mission is to slay the vampires. And the one scene that really just echoes through my head is the scene in the dance when the vampires attack and Buffy goes outside in her dress and starts kicking ass. Terminator 2. Now, if this isn't in one of your top 10 list, I just don't understand. Terminator is one of the best sci-fi series to ever be created. It beats out Star Wars. It beats out Star Trek. It is just so much better. It deals with time travel, killer robots, and the fighting resistance of the human race. And now, this film is continuous off the first one. The first one, of course, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 come after Sarah Connor and John Connor's father, Kyle Reese. Now, The second one takes place a couple years later. We see that Sarah Connor is trapped in an insane asylum, and John Connor is in his teens. Um, Arnold Schwarzenegger does come back, but this time he is protecting the boy, and the way that the chemistry that they had in this film was just perfect. Like the action sequences, the story, the emotion between man and machine was really awesome placed. Um, and it's just one of those films that is so iconic. And the scene that gets me all the time is when they're blowing up Cyberdyne and Arnold Schwarzenegger is taking out all the cop cars and stuff. It's a perfect film. Now Jurassic Park and its sequels are just one of those amazing series of movies. I love dinosaurs. I was always intrigued with dinosaurs when I was younger, and this film is one of those tense, action-packed, just movies of all time. I honestly, to this day, when the T-Rex comes for the first time, it gives me chills on my body. Got goosebumps coming down, and I'm so happy that we finally have a new trilogy that's being done, and of course that is Jurassic World. I love Jurassic World. I love it for one reason. It goes back to the park. I love The Lost World. I love Jurassic Park 3. More Jurassic Park 3 because it does go back to the park, the rundown park anyway. But I love Jurassic World because that park is back up. We have new dinosaurs. There's that awesome fight scene at the end. And I can't wait for the sequel, which comes out next year. Hopefully we'll get some stuff of that soon. But this part one is just one of those films that will never age. To me, honestly, I watched that movie today and it looks like it was done yesterday. And it's perfection. Steven Spielberg, you just, hands up, you done perfection, buddy. We are going with another action hero, and that is none other than JCVD Bloodsport. Now, Bloodsport was done in 1987. Of course, JCVD is Jean-Claude Van Damme, if you didn't know that. I don't know how you don't know that. He's the second, well, right now to me, honestly, he's the best action star who hasn't really lost his way. He's still skinny. He's still athletic as he can be, and he just, I don't know. He grew with the times, is what I'm saying, compared to say Steven Seagal. Bloodsport is a true story based on Frank Dukes, who goes to Hong Kong and fights in the Kumite. And the one thing I love about this movie is that JCVD can really alternate between different characters. Like he can do the action star, he can do the guy who's hurt, and he can do the axe kicker. I love this film because, like I said, it's another iconic film in my mind. I love the shooting location in Hong Kong, and everything about this movie, the fight sequences, the end with Balo Young is so awesome. I love the soundtrack in this movie. The soundtrack is just pure perfection. I should listen to it. It's on my iPod. I just love this film from start to finish, and being based on a true story is actually pretty cool. And that is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The reason why I love this film is because it takes two of my favorite characters three of my favorite characters in history. We have the Trinity for the first time ever. Say what you want to say about Zack Snyder, but he took the alliteration from comic book to film, just like he did with Watchmen. Even though I'm not a big fan of Watchmen, Batman v Superman is, to me, it was done so perfectly. The tone, I love the dark tone. It's not funny. It was never supposed to be funny. It's just an action-packed beatdown between the two, and the first showcase of Wonder Woman. This is the first time that we finally have our DC Extended Universe on film, and the reason I do love the movie so much, and to me, not as much the theatrical version, This is more the uncut version because the theatrical version cut out so much of the film that I think would make fans and critics like it more. But the thing that I love about this movie compared to past Batman movies or Superman movies is that this is connected. We have continuity. Um, I love the Dark Knight trilogy to the T. I love it. The only thing that I hated about it was it should have been the first set of movies to connect to make the DC universe. But because of Chris Nolan and him wanting to do just the 3 films, we never got that. And to me, it was just a letdown. These movies, the DC universe, they have to be connected as continuity. There's too many stories and stuff that you can't have a solo movie. Solo movies only work for characters who are not connected part of the universe. And Batman v Superman had everything like that. I don't care what anybody says. The fight scene between Batman, armored Batman, and Superman is 10 minutes of perfection. The Karate Kid. Now, perfection is this movie, and I love this movie because we have a father-son kind of bonding with Mr. Miyagi and Daniel, who moves with his mother, and he goes through a stroke of bulliness, which a lot of us can relate to, especially me. I was pretty much bullied back in the day, and I love this movie because you really see that kind of tension, like what would you do if you were bullied? And we see that Daniel goes to a karate school to train, although that is the leader of the school is from the Cobra Kai's, and that's where the bullies train. And Daniel gets attacked by them, and Mr. Miyagi, who is a maintenance man at the apartment they live in, is the one who helps him and trains him to fight at the end. And one thing I really like I said, about this movie is there's lots of romance. The soundtrack's incredible. You got that underdog story, a lot like Rocky, and it's aimed at the teen, right? Rocky was more adults, Karate Kid is more at the teens. Now, a lot of people wouldn't expect this one. Actually, I don't think anybody would expect that. I love this movie so much. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. I've always been a Godzilla fan, always will be a Godzilla fan, and I have every movie of Godzilla, which is over 50 movies. The reason why I love this film is because it's an achievement in filmmaking. Like I said, this movie was done in the 50s, and the effects that were done in this movie can actually rival some of the effects that are done now in films. Yes, everything was miniature built with the city of Tokyo. We had a giant guy in a rubber suit, which you could not tell it was a rubber suit compared to, say, King Kong, which was done. You could tell that there were toys and such, but this was an idea that the Japanese really just came out of nowhere and came perfection. Like when I was younger, I had no idea that was a guy in a suit. Actually, until we got our first computer with internet is when I found out that was a guy in a suit. This, like I said, this really holds up today. I love it because the story, we have the Hiroshima bomb that creates Godzilla, and it just deals with problems of the world basically, and I really love that this movie showcases that. And that, guys, was my top 10 films of all time.